Now we're going to go over how I put together this sermon using multicam and slides. All right, let's dive in here. So first we have our two clips here. This is our shot, our static cam. So we'll call that sermon shot A. And then we'll hit enter and it goes right to the next one. We'll call it sermon shot B. I think I added an extra space in there. And it's going to bug me if I don't fix it. There we go. Excellent. All right, so we'll take these and we'll put them in the video folder. And then we'll right click here and then we'll go to create multicam source sequence or something like that. Yeah, that's right. And then we want to make sure the audio is clicked and we want to make sure that this here says mix down. I've always seemed to have the best results with mix down. So we're just going to click OK there. And we're going to let it do its thing. All right, so now it tried to do all sorts of things there with the name. So we'll just get rid of that and we'll just call it sermon. We will right click that and we will click new sequence from clip. So there we are. So then we'll go over to our folder here and then we'll grab our sermon audio, which has been recorded separately. And we'll highlight everything and then click synchronize and hit audio again. It'll take a minute. Then we will click and drag this up. And then we will get rid of the camera audio and add the separate audio that we got. And then we'll link it just to make sure that everything stays together if you bump something. And then what I always do is I always move everything over to in the timeline to 0 because I have my script right here that I had while I was the manuscript that I got from Pastor Chris while we were filming this. I write down the times where he wants his slides and the scriptures put in there. So then it's just that much more efficient when I am going to this part right here. All right, now the first thing we want to do when we're at this kind of beginning part after we've got everything synchronized is we want to go to favorites, or it should be in favorites by now if you're using one of our computers. And we're going to grab dull daylight and we're going to pop it right on top. And just to show you the settings here, I have it's a slightly desaturated picture, so we've gone down to 70 saturation, and then I take just a tiny bit of blue and I add just a smidge of red to it. I don't do much else with it other than, I got regular contrast at 40 and the highlights at -14. It feels kind of cleaner, a little more, I don't know. I prefer it this way. This is the way I learned how to do it, so that's the way I'm doing it. All right, so let's move on to the next step. Okay, so here we are, and the script we talked about earlier, right here, and at 3:17 is where he wants the first slide, and it's a fill in the blank here. So with the fill in the blanks, I try to make things look as interesting as possible and to give kind of a visual cue as to, like, hey, we switched to a different view, so something is happening. So I put the fill in the blank slide here. You can see deep cuts are tracks from an album that casual fans often overlook. So we got this, and typically I will run them for about 15, 16, 17 seconds, depending on if there's another note slide that we need to put in right after it. It'll be shorter sometimes it won't. But I will switch to the B shot here because but I don't use it for the entirety of the slide. It can get a little bit old and a little bit feels like it lingers a little bit too long. So I will go anywhere from half to 3/4 of that slide duration, and then just move on. The other thing to watch for is the scripture slides, and sometimes there will be quotes as slides as well. They're just full takeovers. I have pretty much 3 things that I kind of like put in intermittently. The first that you'll see here is the Cross BG Studio, and that's just a video that we took of the of one of the crosses back in the dock, way back when we started at the studio. And just it's already darkened and blurred,
When
so I don't
Joshua
have to do much
dismissed
of
the people,
anything
the people of
other than
Israel
drop it
each went to
behind
his inheritance to take
the scripture slide. And then we have the B shot that I have here. You can see it's going back and forth, doing its thing. So what I did here is I went to the lumetri color, or the dull daylight preset that we have, and I just keep the same thing, only I change the exposure to -3, and then I add a Gaussian blur at 15. So your eyes aren't confused as to what you should be looking at. The text is clear, but the background is not. And the other one is sometimes I will just keep the static shot and go to the just blur and darkened shot.
and the people of Israel.
It's just kind of a variety thing. So if you kind of intermittently do this, sometimes I'll go like background shot, B shot, A shot, and then I'll go back to the B shot and then go back to the background shot. Just mix it up a little bit. There's really only 3. It's not that big of a deal if you just rotate them through either. Just to give the viewer something visual, some sort of visual change, and so that's not just somebody talking at the camera the entire time. So hopefully this was helpful, and thanks for watching.